Hello and welcome to another episode of the JBR Play podcast. I'm your host tonight, John, and it's a bit different this week because we've been abandoned, quite sadly, by Rick. He will be back next time, but this week he's decided he had more important things to do apparently. But luckily, he did let me keep Ben, which is good. So I'm joined by Ben still.
We miss you, Rick. Come back to us.
Do we?
No.
And so we're still going to cover all three topics. It's just that we will come up with we'll have to cover Rick's topic for him. Didn't even leave us a topic. It's just so rude.
You could have given us a question before he left.
I know, it's awful.
Rick, quickly, text us.
Anyway, getting back on topic. So for the first discussion this week, we're going to be going into film. And Ben, my question for you is, how do you feel about films now in terms of sequels and expanded universes? Do you feel the expanded universe is the new sequel? Or do you feel that sequels are still going to very much be a strong thing going? Or do you think people are going to keep making spin-offs instead now and expanding their film universes?
So you're saying it's expanded universe the way to go, I guess, is what you're saying.
Yes, yeah, instead of kind of just following the same character and the same story. For example, Star Wars is doing it with Rogue One. Marvel have been doing it for years where they have their different heroes, have their own separate stories, and they merge together for the Avengers and then go separate again.
Well, I guess it kind of depends, doesn't it? I mean, for example, Marvel, you have sequels within their expanded universe, so it is the same thing. You've got the sequels in the expanded universe. Whereas, like you say about Star Wars, they're kind of going out to Rogue One now, which will follow some new characters. So I guess you can mix them together, really, and have them as the same thing. But I guess what you're saying is, mixing more characters from different films together.
Well, it's not necessarily that. It's more like, for example, you like you were saying, you get trilogies of films as well as individual films, but I've noticed that expanded universes are becoming more and more of the norm now. To me, it feels like that's a more common occurrence, and every film seems to be connected to something else in its genre now. Like, for example, the Dracula film they brought out and the Frankenstein film with James McAvoy, I think they were supposed to be connected. And there was a talk about the monster movies all being connected, like the Wolfman that's coming out and the Mummy is all supposed to be connected to Dracula, and they're all going to combine for a giant monster movie.
What was Charles Dance's character, wasn't it?
Yes.
He's the guy linking it all, isn't he?
I think so, yeah, but it was very unclear in Frankenstein what he was doing exactly, because he was the father of Frankenstein.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know if he was still the same kind of vampire character from Dracula, spoilers if you haven't seen them, or...
well, it's kind of obvious.
Yeah, or if he was thinking... And it's even the same Godzilla and King Kong. The new King Kong Skull Island film, I believe, is going to be connected to the Godzilla film that came out in 2014. So it feels like, as well as making sequels now, companies are trying to connect their film franchises.
They're kind of like, they're not sequels, but they're sort of like spiritually linked, I guess, like spiritual sequels almost.
Yeah, but I think it gives them an option to make... They know they're going to make a strong sequel, I feel like, because they know that once they made an individual King Kong film, an individual Godzilla film, they're going to have a Godzilla versus King Kong movie, which people are going... As soon as you hear a title like that, you're like, wow, okay, King Kong and Godzilla, right? Let's just go and watch an hour and a half of them punching the crap out of each other.
Do you remember we said this about Batman versus Superman? Oh, that's like the biggest title ever.
Batman No, to be fair, no, I was never overly enthusiastic about it because it felt too rushed for me. It felt like we just had one Superman film and we're going straight into Batman v Superman. It would have been great to have the solo Batman movie first, I feel, and then a couple of other films in the DC universe before getting to that. Whereas with Civil War, I felt like that was the right time in Captain America because we've seen how many? I think it's 13 Marvel films before that one. 13 films before Civil War. Of character development for all of these characters. So when they do come together in Civil War, you know each character so well, and you kind of know their backstories, you know why they're doing what they're doing, and it's justified who's on which side. Whereas with Batman v Superman, it felt very rushed. Like we had to quickly see at the beginning that Bruce Wayne lost a building. Superman was like, oh, he's dangerous, he has to be killed. And Ben Affleck did an incredible job, and Jeremy Irons as Alfred, they were fantastic. But I feel like they needed their own film first to really show their character. To be fair, the director's cut of Batman v Superman is supposed to be very good. I haven't seen it
either.
That's
Rick, you've seen it? Tell us what it's like.
Yeah, Rick, what's that like? I can't. Oh, no.
Well,
but, I think that's... But yeah, see, and that's, you see what I mean? Like, it's not a sequel, and even the Justice League's coming now, so it's kind of like we still haven't got that solo Batman film, but we're already getting 2 Batman films.
They did a very, very good job of introducing him, but I think they're relying too much on saying, you know, Batman, you know what happened to him, you know how he became Batman.
you're right.
That's very much assuming that everyone knows that, which most people would. But you shouldn't heavily rely on that so much.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, for example, again, going back to comparing it to Civil War, because you do feel like those two kind of come at a close comparison. Civil War introduced Spider-Man very briefly, but they only kept him in the film for about 15, 20 minutes. And the thing is, you can get away with it there, going, oh, everyone knows Spider-Man, because he was only in it for such a small part. You didn't need to understand much of his backstory to get him into the part he was in. Whereas with Batman v Superman, Batman had a huge backstory we didn't know about. Like, people who don't read the comics won't know why Robin's dead and why his armor's all got the graffiti on it and how the Joker's done it. People who have read the comics will know exactly what that means, and they'll be like, oh yeah, this is cool. But the general moviegoer will be like, wait, did I miss something? Like, I feel like I'm behind.
So we knew like the theories. We were looking at the theories because we knew about this stuff. We knew, well, it's Jason Todd, isn't it? So we knew about, what happened to him, why this happened. And I guess, it's kind of trying to link it in from other sources as well as the film, I guess. I don't know if that's what they're trying to do. Be like, go watch them, go read some comics or something, or they are.
Well, in a way, this is a different kind of debate, which is an interesting one of, do you feel that the film should be kept separate in terms of that, or do you not? Because, like, what Zack Snyder did there, you've got to think he's actually been very respectful to the comic book fans and loyal to the comic book fans. He's been like, I'm making a movie for you guys. But that won't... Whereas Warner Brothers, you kind of feel want to get it to everybody. Because their aim with this film is to make money. Yeah. So they will want everyone to see it and understand straight away. Whereas Zack Snyder, it felt like he was on a different wavelength of going, I'm going to commit this one to the comic book fans kind of as well. And the problem is, like, I feel like with the Marvel films, even though they tell stories from the comic books, they're very easy to follow and easy to pick up on. Whereas I did feel with Batman v Superman, sometimes I felt a bit lost of, wait, where's this going now? Where am I now? It felt a bit jumbled. And it's a shame because, like I said, I really enjoyed, like, I think they've got some good they've done some great casting choices with Ben Affleck, Jeremy Irons. I always get his name wrong and you always want me for it, but Henry Cavill?
He's English.
Cavill.
It's not hard.
Like, he's good as Superman.
He's not French or something.
And Gal Gadot is amazing.
Henry Cavill. There you go.
And they picked great. We've gone way off topic. We're talking about superhero films again.
Kind of
but it just feels like that. That is a situation to me where it would have been better to just do some sequels, have an original Batman movie, have a sequel, and then connect it to Batman v Superman, because then you feel like you've done both characters justice before making them go in there and beat the crap out of each other.
Well, I guess what they can, I don't mind them if they do this. If they did, I was saying, going back to what you're saying about the Robin thing, that's probably what the director's cut is for. I guess is being more loyal to the comic book fans, so they add more stuff of here's an Easter egg here and there and all this sort of stuff. What was I going to say? It's gone.
Think. Use your thinker box.
Go again, what were you saying?
No, I've forgotten. Okay.
But it was a really good point, now it's gone.
But anyway, so like, thinking about it with Star Wars as well, like, I personally think it's a fantastic idea for Star Wars. Okay, let's go back.
So I was saying I wouldn't mind if they did a prequel. So the Batman film, if it was a prequel to Batman vs Superman, I'd be okay with that, because then they're filling in the gaps.
But it's jumbled then. This is the thing, like, it's going to be a bit confusing to, like, I've heard a lot of people
look after it and make it,
again, but is
fit.
Going back to Rogue One, for example, I've heard a lot of people who were kind of, again, general moviegoers being confused. Like, so when's it, like, some people feel like this is a follow-on maybe to...
But then if you think about it, is Rogue One, I know obviously they want to make money, but then is it for those people? If they don't understand what's happening...
No, true, exactly.
It's not for them.
What we're saying,
I guess,
do you, like, obviously I think that's great when when directors and writers and production companies go, let's make a film committed to the fans or people who are already fans. So when they were like, let's make Rogue One, because if you've seen A New Hope, which I like to think most people have, they talk about the spies who went to go and get the plans from the Death Star, and this is their story. So
do they refer to them as Rogue One? I can't remember.
No, I think they refer to them as Bothan the spies. But I thought Bothan was a species in Star Wars. This could be me getting this wrong.
I'm pretty sure they were. I love Star Wars, so I should know that, but I'm pretty sure it's either a faction or a species. I can't actually remember.
But to the general moviegoer, they might be a bit confused when it's actually set, because you just had a film set after Return of the Jedi, and now you're going back before A New Hope. So you're kind of, which like I said, I don't think it's going to be a problem for a lot of people, but there will be some people who will be confused by the throw around like that.
I think the fact Darth Vader's in it's going to make them go, wait, what? he's back. Is he new? Is this a new guy?
I am really looking forward to see what they do with Darth Vader in this film. I'm
wanna
really
know who it
excited
is.
for Rogue One.
Who's in the suit?
That's a good point.
I don't know who it is. Is he talking? I don't know if he's talking again. Bring in
They haven't said, but
same voice.
James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does
Mufasa.
he does it in Rebels. So
does he?
He does Darth Vader
he must
in
be back
Rebels.
then.
So
It must
he
be
will
him
be.
again.
I'm sure that he would be
Yeah.
happy to come back to it, and I'm sure they would offer it to him.
I don't see why they would change it. I mean, he's too iconic to replace him, really.
Exactly. And Star Wars is the kind of universe you can expand and you can make a story around and you can make up a completely new character in a completely different part of the galaxy and still have a fantastic
Well, they've
rich
added all
story.
these new planets, haven't they, as well? So
Exactly. And that's the thing you can do without messing up the continuity. You can suddenly go, we're telling a story from this new planet over on this part of the galaxy, which never been heard of before. But that makes sense in that world, it fits. Whereas in other, you have to be careful, I guess, in other film franchises, if you spin off continuity, you have to be so careful that you don't ruin it, which is why I really love how Marvel's done it, because all of their films and their Netflix shows have connected very smoothly. And there's no kind of, oh, does that conflict with that film?
they've got like the odd bit where you're like, why wasn't he there? Or why was he not helping? Or but you let it go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It'll ruin
kind
the
of
film.
accept it. Yeah, if you really kind of go, oh,
Yeah.
like for example in Iron Man 3, when
Yeah.
the president, you're like, surely Cap would be sent after him too. But I bet you if you were to ask anyone at Marvel about that or the director of the film, he'd have a very good reason. They would have done their homework, so they go, oh yes, it's
Either one, or they'll look at you and go, shh, just shut the door.
yeah.
Stop ruining Marvel.
And it's like the Warcraft film. They're going to expand. That's not going to be a direct sequel, I don't think. I think they're actually planning to expand that into an expanded universe again with only one movie.
Well, that's the big thing about Warcraft is I don't like Star Wars. They've gone, right, here's your expanded universe. We're putting that in a box that doesn't exist anymore. We're starting again. The old one. Was it now Legends? Star Wars Legends? Is that what it's called?
I believe
Legacy
so. Yes,
Legends.
yeah.
With Warcraft, they are aiming that at the game fan base really, because I play it. I know the new storyline. It's linking directly on from the film, the new expansion. It's the same bad guy he's in this the new game. It's carrying on how they left it really. So that's definitely we've got the books, we've got this one film, we've got all the games. This is all your lore to go and play with pretty much. So I guess that is they're relying less on new people coming in. I guess it will bring in new people. That's probably why they did it. Come play our game. It's exactly like the film. But yeah.
But this is the thing, because the game has never. I love fantasy, but the game of Warcraft's never really appealed to me much. I've never tried it. I've never played it, and it's never. It's not a game like I feel like I need to play. I've never had the urge to go and play it, kind of. But I went to go and see the film, and I actually enjoyed it. Despite the fact it was getting very mixed reviews, I thought it was a nice film to just kind of like an entertaining film, a nice entertaining film to watch. And I saw an interview with the director. And I've got to say, I respected everything he was saying. I thought, wow, this guy, you know what? He's gone. He's really done his research on the project, and he had this interviewer was being a real, like a really not harsh, nasty interview, and this director kept his cool, and he was so calm and collected, and he had an answer for everything, and it was a really good answer for everything as well. Then the interviewer walked out. It was like he was trying to sabotage the interview, and the director just had not a comeback, because it wasn't like he was being with you. He just had an answer for everything.
The reason why he's doing what.
Exactly, and it made sense. Like he tried comparing it to Lord of the Rings, and the comparison wasn't in terms of story or anything. It was in terms of traveling, and it was like distance. How do you gauge the distance they've actually traveled? And he was saying, well, in the Lord of the Rings books you get a map, and then he was like, well, in the World of Warcraft game you have a map, and it was like that's a good point. You can't really say, because not everyone who's watched Lord of the Rings films has read the books. So they're not going to see those maps. So
same thing. Not everyone who's seen the Warcraft film has played the games.
Exactly, that's my point. Yeah, so he's
when they're mentioning places, I'm like, I know exactly where that is, in terms, because you obviously got these the map of Warcraft. You have these two, the main place. You have these two giant islands, so I know roughly where they are. They're on this island, that island, the top, the bottom, whatever. And they got Murlocs in it.
I have no idea what that means, but yeah,
it's cool. It's the little thing that went.
But would you want, from the next World of Warcraft film, for example, then would you like a direct sequel, or would you want it to kind of stay in the expanded universe? Would you like it to kind of expand into a different story altogether? So you have a series of different stories set within the universe instead of a sequel.
I feel like it would be better to do that, because, like I'm saying, you've got the game. So for me, they would just be doing a film of the game. That'd be cool as well. But I mean, you could go back and, for example, I read the book called Rise of the Horde, is what it is, and one of the biggest orc characters is called Thrall. He's like the leader of the Horde in the current state of the game. He always has been for the Warcraft game. World of Warcraft, not Warcraft. And basically it's about him when he's little and growing up. And I mean, that would be great for me. I'd love that. I think it's the same sort of concept of the film we've just had, where it's like the orcs becoming evil orcs. It brings up the corruption, all this sort of stuff. So it's the same kind of idea, but it's the rise of Thrall, really, which I think is quite interesting. It's the rise of one of the biggest characters of the game. So that's what's,
So you could expand that into different stories, different parts of
like
those.
origin films, I guess. Be like, because there are a lot of in the game. You've got a lot of big characters, and people are saying, this character died basically in the new one, and I was like, I don't know who it is. I wasn't that bothered. Whereas if you had a film dedicated to him, be like, this is this character, this is his life, then I'd be like, oh, it's really sad. There's quite a few of them, like the leaders of the Alliance and the leaders of the Horde.
So I think what we're saying really is that it is a good thing. Expanded universes, I personally think they are a good thing, especially with certain series like Warcraft.
It's definitely a good thing, yeah.
Even Lord of the Rings, as much that I think Lord of the Rings could be a bit of a touchy one because of the book series itself being quite there's a multiple books in there, so you could just follow them. It would be hard to make up a new story. I think you need to follow the books. I think expanded universes are a positive, but you need to be careful that they're not kind of milked to death almost. Like you don't want to do it too much, which you kind of felt like it was going to get to at one point, but now it feels like they kind of they're steadying out a bit, I think, which is a good thing. So yeah, I think the expanded universe is overall a positive thing.
It's good at protecting itself as well, like you're saying, protecting continuity and stuff. So
and I think it makes it easier without getting repetitive too. Like because if you have direct sequels to films, they can become repetitive in their story and character. Whereas if a character's getting a bit stale, you can just go, right, let's keep the same universe but change up to a different character.
Nobody likes him. Let's kick him, get a new one.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that is our film question. Now, Ben, you are asking the video game topic this week. What would you like to ask?
So what I wanted to talk about was it's the what are they calling them? The alpha builds, I guess, of games which are being released before they're finished, so you can buy them for, I guess, a cheaper price because it is unfinished. But I guess it's kind of thing of, is it harming them? Is it harming those games by doing that? Because then, I mean, if you play it and you go, oh, this is terrible because this is like this, are you going to forgive it or be like, I'll come back when it's better? I mean, are you going to recommend it to your friends? Be like, hey, come play this because it's broken, yeah, but I like it, or,
That's a good question, and you've got a good point, because I think, obviously, to me, the big one is DayZ, and I do love DayZ, but I will admit, at the moment, it is a very broken game, and the fact that it's taken so long, it's been out for a good couple of years in alpha now, I think, in a way, I don't think it's killed the game, because there's still a fair few people on it, but I don't think it's done it any good. When it first came out in alpha, it did do a lot of good. The game made over 2 million ridiculously quick, and people were buying it. But then the problem is, there were just so many broken things within the game, and you at first, I think you are understanding. You're like, oh, it's in alpha, it's okay, and then it gets to a stage a couple of years down the line where you're still in alpha, and the game's still broken, and you're like, okay, what are they doing?
All this time, what are you doing?
Yeah,
what are you doing with the money? Are you?
This is the thing, like,
fixing the game or what?
Where you were saying, like, do you recommend it to your friends? Like, I do. I recommend. I try and get you to play DayZ a lot. But because I follow the game, I know what's going on with it, kind of. So I know why it's taking a while, because they're switching game engines. But the thing you've got to consider is, if they're having to switch game engines, maybe they shouldn't have released it in alpha. If this is such a big thing, they've had to swap the game engine they're building the game on.
They shouldn't have released, because they had the mod. They should have left the mod. You know how it is. You go play the mod while they fix this game engine. Then they fix the game engine, go, boom, we've now released this whole new engine, all this. It's still broken, but...
And I think the problem is,
it doesn't run like crap anymore.
Because it was so successful when it first came out in alpha, and people were buying it because the mod was so successful that everyone just wanted to get their hands on this new game. It kind of almost created like a spin-off of a spiral of more and more pre-release and alphas. But then you had games like Ark, which, even though it was released in its alpha, it felt like a finished game.
I was just thinking, it does not feel like an alpha. It feels like, because when they add new updates, it's a proper, like, we've added new dinosaurs, new items, new weapons. It's like an expansion, a DLC, rather than a fix, I guess. Yeah.
This is where...
still some dodgy stuff, but,
This is where Ark can kind of fall under the firing line of, they have actually released... They're still in alpha, and they've just released paid... Well, they haven't just released, it's been out for a while now. They've released paid DLC for a game that's in alpha, which I think is a bit cheeky, but at the same time, as we're saying, the game feels finished. I guess you could kind of get away with it. Like, if DayZ tried to release paid DLC now, I think the fans would be like, what are you doing? Like, that's ridiculous.
No,
but because arc feels like it is quite complete already, I think they can justify it. Well,
I guess
I don't know if they can justify. I do think it's a bit cheeky, but
how big's the DLC though? Is it like a huge?
oh, it's
like,
it's a new map and like dragons and stuff now.
Oh, it's the dragon stuff, isn't it? Of
Yeah.
course. I guess it's more understandable. Because obviously, we're saying we're giving you all this new stuff. This isn't a fix. This is not us fixing what you've already bought. We're giving you so much new stuff. Like I was saying, when you're getting the small fixes, that's fine. You shouldn't pay for those. But a big one, I guess, is an expansion.
But when the game's not finished, you could argue that that's already meant to be in the game. Why are you getting extended stuff for an unfinished game?
But was it? That's the thing, I guess. If they didn't plan for that to be in there, I guess they can kind of justify
if they didn't,
it.
but if they didn't plan for it to be there, that's fair enough. But I think it would have been smart to wait until the game was finished, or at least very close to finishing before doing that, because otherwise people are going to be like, wait, so I'm now buying extra stuff for a game that's not even finished yet.
As long as you don't need it, I think it's okay. If it you said you cannot actually play the old game unless you buy this, then that's not on. That's bad. I think if it's an add-on the side, it's fine. Like you said, they probably should have waited and finished it and be like, then they've got more stuff to release. They can be like, here we've got this whole expansion for you, while still releasing the little updates. I guess the little ones, regularly. Keep them coming to keep everyone coming back to the game.
But this is the thing, and I think this also proved that it didn't necessarily. I think it's hurt DayZ. These are the main two games. I know there are a lot more games that are released in the alpha stage, but these are the big two, I feel. And it did hurt DayZ, but I definitely don't think it's killed it, because when I think it was patch 0.59 or 6.0. No, it was patch 5.9, I think.
What are we on now?
6.0.
Right.
It's taken a while to get there, but when that came out, because they were bringing back the M4 rifle and they were making some big fixes, and zombies were actually coming back. That's the thing. You had an alpha game about zombie survival with no zombies for a while, which was risky, and but they had to do it because they were switching engines, and it did bring people back. That's when a few of my friends who had got bored of the game came back to play, but then they kind of felt cheated, because even though they were saying all these things have been fixed, they hadn't. They've all been fixed. There were only a couple of zombies at the time. Yes, they could do a bit more now. They can kind of parkour over walls and stuff. Yeah, the zombies are actually now more agile than the players, which doesn't make sense. But it did add to the fear factor a bit. Like, me and my friend were playing it, and we were going through a town, and one of us shot a gun off, and we triggered a mini horde, and it was quite scary. It felt like the old mod again, the mod days, and it was brilliant. But you could still tell it wasn't a finished game. And I've been watching some reviews for this new patch, 0.61 coming out, and it does look like they have genuinely fixed a lot of these problems. The zombies are in large numbers in every town now, not just selected towns, and they do look like a genuine threat, because I think that's one of the people who play that game just like to kill other people because they're not nice people.
People who play games like to kill other people in games.
Yeah. But I think another reason they do it so much is because the zombies aren't a challenge. If you play DayZ now, I can just jog for 2 minutes, or not even that, about a minute, half a minute to a minute, and I've lost the zombies chasing me, because there's not enough of them. It doesn't really add to it. But this new patch looks like it fixes that. So I've got a feeling people will actually be like, or if they see you in a town, I've heard it's apparently suicidal now to fire a rifle in town. So
double think about it rather than jumping straight in.
The issue is a lot of people have seen this stuff, and I've been talking to some of my friends who used to play DayZ and have stopped playing because they just don't think it's going anywhere. And I was like, are you going to play again when this new patch comes out? Because I'm quite excited for it. And they were like, I don't know. I feel like I've been here before where the game said, oh yeah, this new patch is going to fix everything, is going to be great. And we get in, it just doesn't live up to what they're saying. And I can understand where they're coming from. I think you do have to be quite a strong fan, a committed fan, to keep going with it. And I do think it was a mistake to release the game early, despite the fact they made a lot of money initially. And also, it's dangerous to the people buying the game early. There was a game called The Stomping Lands.
Oh, God, yeah.
And I bought that, 20 quid. Looked really promising. And then it got to, I think, 0.54, and then just nothing. And then it turns out the game company went bust after they had taken everybody's money, which is really kind of out. You don't get a refund or anything. And yeah, that's part of the risk when you buy it. But it's quite out of order in a way.
It's you've paid for what you've got. Wait, did they shut the service down? Or could you
still play? Not at first. I think now they have. I'm not sure. I think you can play single player now, but you can't play.
Because then you've bought this broken ass thing. So,
but there was a
your
game.
money went somewhere, I guess. It's cheaper.
it was a Kickstarter. It didn't get into alpha stage, and it was like a sword. It was like a sword fighting simulator where you actually used a remote, and it sounded really promising. It was technology as well as the game, and they used a remote like a sword handle, and when you swung it, it would register on the screen how you were swinging the sword, and it was on it was on Kickstarter or one of those kind of donation things, and it earned a ton of money, and then the guy just decided it wouldn't work after all that, but he didn't refund everyone. So it's a risk to the consumers as well, trying to buy these alpha games because you don't actually know if they're going to see it through to the end. I think that's what people are a bit scared about with DayZ because they're going back to something they don't like. They're like, oh, is it actually going to? Is it going to be? Is it going to be finished, or have I just paid? I think it was 20 quid when it first came out. Like, if I just paid 20 quid for a game that may never actually be released in its full version.
Yeah.
Kind of. I believe it will because they're still working on it quite hard. And the amount of money they made when it first came out should keep them going. And when it is finished and released properly, I'm sure its sales will shoot back up again.
Also, because then they can release it for full price and be like, here you go. Give us your monies, please.
Yeah, and I don't think they'll do DLC for it. I don't believe DayZ's never. It doesn't come across to me as that kind of game.
Unless they add
Well, even in the mod, they brought out new maps, and stuff, but that was all fan made. Like the mod,
they
didn't
add guns and stuff, but they can't really, unless they do a big pack, they can't really charge you for it.
And I don't know if that would work because I don't know how it would work. 'Cause guns spawn on the floor, so just say you'd bought the pack, would it just not let you pick up? Like if you just found like a rocket launcher and it was like, oh, you can't pick this up, 'cause you haven't bought the DLC, and then another player walks in who has bought the DLC and just picks it up, it would take a lot of the realism out of it because the whole point of DayZ is meant to be a realistic zombie survivor. And it's not realistic to try and pick up a gun or like a T-shirt.
You can't pick this up.
Oh, you haven't paid like £20 for this T-shirt, therefore you can't have it.
Bro, you need to go lift more before you can lift up this rocket launcher.
Exactly. Yeah, it just wouldn't work. It's so
they could do what most games are doing now and go down the cosmetics route. Like you pay this price and you get a pack of spray paints or something that you keep in your bag, and you can do camos or whatever.
Yeah,
or change
again,
the color of a top or
I think that works for games like WoW.
I guess actually, that's quite a big deal, isn't it? Because
camouflage is important in DayZ. If you want to stay hidden from players in the woods, you want to have the best camo. So yeah, and I do think it's risky, and it is quite a cheeky move to release games in alpha because it's a clever idea. Don't get me wrong, and I can understand why companies do it, but I don't think it's entirely fair on the consumers. On the gamers because they're they're using their own money for a risk that may or may not pay off. They might really like the idea of this game, pay 20 quid for it, and then nothing comes from it. So why should you buy a game early when you know there's a chance? There's a warning now when you buy them. This game may not make it through to the end. If they're doing that, sorry if I sound bunged up, by the way. I've got a bit of man flu at the moment. And 20 quid, it's not the most expensive thing in the world, but it's still a fair bit of money to part with. Like,
well, you can buy
that may or may not happen.
Finished games for that price.
Exactly, yeah.
It might not be as big, but you can still, get something decent for it.
So I don't think it's, I don't see the. I mean, I'm kind of grateful in a way because, like I said, I love DayZ, so it means I can play it now, even though I know it's broken. I still get my enjoyment out of playing it. But I do think it's also lost them a fair bit of their audience. Like I said, a good few friends of mine who used to love the mod. They're bored now because the game was so broken getting to where it is. And we're still waiting for this 6.61 patch, which is supposed to bring the zombies
back. Is the new engine in now? Have they finished that?
Yes, that was the big patch that brought people back. Right, but still didn't have many zombies in and stuff.
I think I played that and I thought, it's better, yeah, but
the frame rates were improved, weren't they?
Yeah.
It was
that's what I hated it just because I could not go anywhere or do stuff. Shooting things was a nightmare just because it was just so choppy. My PC it's not rubbish. It's not amazing, but it's not rubbish at all.
But that's
I couldn't do it.
That's what you were saying at the beginning, wasn't it? Does this damage the game? Does it put
exactly
people off?
That makes me go, DayZ, I don't like it. I don't mind it, but if you say to me, do you want to play? I go, not really.
Because it's broken. Exactly. Yeah. And you want to play something which runs smoothly and efficiently.
Exactly.
And like some of my friends from uni, they love the idea of DayZ and they really can't wait for it to be fixed. But again, if I try and send a message like, do you want to play? They're like, nah. And it's kind of killed it for them because when they did play, they used to love the mod. And I think because the mod was free and it was a mod, they were a lot more forgiving when something goes wrong. But to be fair, the mod didn't. The mod ran...
Mod was great.
The mod ran like 10 times better than the actual game. But like we were saying, and I think also when you have other games that come out more successfully, people won't take the time to research why it's going so slow. They'll just assume the company are being rubbish,
Yeah.
which isn't the case.
Like you're always looking for updates, going, when's this? Give
Exactly.
me this, give me this. Whereas I'm like, I'll come back to it in like a month and see what's there, I guess.
But there's a thing that like there's a website called Daisy Intel, and I remember a year or so ago, every day there were new articles coming out, and it was quite good because you could keep up to date really easily. But then where Daisy slowed down so much, they went to once a month. So that's what's I think that is a car alarm. But it's the start of the zombie apocalypse. Daisy's happening for real.
The developers released the actual virus. So like, we've been saving this. This is what we've been working on with your money.
This is your money. Yeah, we've developed the actual zombie virus.
We made the best game.
Survive.
Real life.
And if you all act like you do in the game, no one's going to live very long.
Oh, God, yeah.
But then when Ark comes out, a game like Ark and is it Star Citizen? I've only heard good.
A big, what they called? Crowdfunded, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they all look very promising. I watched a guy on YouTube play Star Citizen over a year ago. And it looked incredible, and it felt like a finished game.
Well, see, they didn't release it until it was properly, not properly done, at a decent area, I guess, a decent level of finishedness.
Yeah.
So yeah, when they released it, they actually had something decent to play, where you like it and you go, this is good. I want to, come back for more because I know you'll get more. They'll fix all these odd bits and bobs that are broken. But you can forgive the small things. It's when that's it, isn't it? It's the big things. When the big things are broken, that's what puts you off.
I.e. having no zombies in a zombie apocalypse survivor.
Yeah, i.e. having that, i.e. having rubbish running rates. It's just, you can't play the game. So you're like...
and then you lose interest and you kind of go back to it. Like, you don't go back to it because you kind of forget about it when you find something that does work.
Yeah.
I really hope that AAA titles don't start going down that route. Oh, God. And especially when you already... To be fair, though, you can also argue similar things. Do you remember when one of the Assassin's Creed games came out? It was so broken. Which one was it? It wasn't the...
It was Unity.
Unity. It was so broken. And same one of the Batman games, Arkham Knight. I think they were just really broken. And people are paying like 40 or 50 quid for these games. Mm-hmm. And they don't work. And it's like, okay, AAA titles with a lot of money going into them, and they're not even in alpha. They have no excuse.
Well, the problem with those is they're getting pushed by the publishers normally, aren't they?
Yeah, the
publisher. Like, we want this now, release it. And they're like, it's not ready. It's like, don't care.
Well, apparently this is... I don't know how true this is, but it sounds about right. I could be wrong. But the Star Wars Battlefront was actually meant to have a campaign. But because they wanted it to be released in line with the film to make the more money, out of the money from sales,
which makes sense. Yes,
they put. Well, I don't know if I agree with that still because it's Star Wars.
No, I'm not saying it should have done. I'm saying it makes sense, to release it at the same time as the films, because then everyone's like, oh, Star Wars hype.
Yeah, but at the same time, Star Wars is always going to sell well.
Yeah,
and even if it took a few months down the line, it would still sell well. You could have done it in line with the DVD.
It's got the Battlefront name as well.
Yeah, exactly. Battlefront is a game that gamers loved, and if you bring out a new one with the similar campaigns from the first one, people are going to buy it. And people were livid when it didn't come out. But then again, to criticise EA, they clearly don't know too much of their marketing strategy because they released Titanfall and Battlefield 1 at the same time and wondered why no one was buying both.
If any companies are listening, can we have Republic Commando 2, please?
Yes, if you would... Yeah, EA, there you go. If you're making more Star Wars games, please make Republic Commando 2. I know you guys didn't make the first one, but we all want it and we all love it.
Fantastic. Just literally...
Or remaster the first one and make it co-op.
Stick it, or that, or like couple that with Battlefront 2. Be like, here's your campaign. It's Republic? What's Republic? It's Republic Commando. Boom.
And don't release it in alpha. Release it when it's finished.
Yeah.
Because that can annoy people.
Yes, that too.
As this conversation has shown. Right. Let's move on to our final topic. Rick, what would you like to ask for... Okay. Yes, we're not bitter or anything that he's not here. But Rick, if you're listening to this, we're not happy. Lack of commitment.
Terrible, terrible person.
But anyway, seeing as Rick's not here, we were going to have more of a...
Love you, Rick.
We were going to have a bit of a discussion about what we feel are the biggest moments in TV of 2016 so far for us, what we've watched.
More in personal moments.
And what we kind of feel have been like really kind of big, outstanding moments on TV. So Ben, what for you has been a big one?
Mine, warning here, we're going to be talking probably about spoilers for this, so yeah, if you don't want to hear anything, that's why we save TV for last, because this may be spoiler territory. So we'll tell you what we're going to talk about first in terms of the actual series. So, yes, yeah, you've been warned. Walking Dead. My big one is it was to come back for the new season. They left it on such a massive cliffhanger with who's he gonna smack up basically with his bat. And we've been talking about it, haven't we, loads since when was it? beginning of the year.
Beginning of April.
Yeah.
It would have been, yeah.
We've been talking about speculating who, and I think you said Abraham. I agreed Abraham. So when it happened, it was Abraham, and I was like, I am so incredibly disappointed. This sucks. And then he turned around, smashes Glenn in the head. I was like, oh my god! They literally flipped me. I was extremely pissed off, and suddenly flipped me to the happiest person ever. Because it was just like, they've done it. They've
but
just.
Glen's so cool.
I know.
Actually,
I
love
love
Abraham.
Glenn. I
Abraham's
love
wicked.
Glenn. I love both of them. But I was like, you delivered. Yes, I am so happy about this. Because I was watching it with someone who was. They loved Glenn and they were really upset about it. And I was like, yeah, it's horrible, but look what they've done. It's brilliant. They've actually committed to doing a big thing, because that death had to go to someone.
It had to be someone
big.
Yeah.
Abraham, he's not a small character, but he's not the biggest of the big characters. Where Glenn's been in it since, what, episode 2?
No, well, his voice is in episode 1, at the very end of episode 1 on the radio, isn't it? Because he starts talking to Rick in the tank.
So he's, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
See, as soon as they hit Abraham, because from a realistic point of view, it makes sense to go for Abraham because he was the biggest, the strongest of the group.
Yes.
So Negan takes him down. He's taking down the toughest. So I was kind of like, okay, I get where they're coming from. But I also had a feeling, I was like, they're going to have to kill someone else because Abraham is a big character, but it needed to be it needs to be one of
impact,
it needs to be one of the original cast for us to really, really feel how dangerous this guy is. And I thought they might. I kind of guessed Glenn still because Glenn, obviously from the comic books, has the same fate. But part of me was thinking maybe they'll take Daryl because Daryl, I think with a character like Daryl, it's so hard to justify killing someone who you've made into such a badass. And I feel like this is one way you can justify it, where he's surrounded by hundreds of enemies. Yeah. There's nothing he can do. And if anyone tries to save him, they would die as well, and they could get everyone else killed. So they would have to just sit and watch. This seemed like the perfect moment to kill someone like Daryl, and then they didn't. And so I wasn't surprised when it was Glenn. I thought it was well done. I enjoyed the episode. It was quite hard to watch, but in a good way. As in, you're like, oh my god, they've committed. This is brilliant. I felt like that. Sorry, I'm dying. But
I'm going to sit over here for now. Goodbye.
I'm giving you my lurgy. I think they could have killed Daryl, but I'm happy with the choice they went for still. It was still very emotional and a very hard-hitting episode, and it did its job. It did a very good job of making you feel for the group and for the ones who died.
When you see Rick become Reek, he's just absolutely crushed. Like, to do that to such a strong character, it's like, that Negan's someone to not be messed with, really.
But exactly, and it's like in every other season we've seen them deal with other people before, and even be outnumbered. Like the governor even says to Rick in one of their bits where they're debating, he's like, "Oh, your men are better trained than mine, but I have more." Yeah. And yet Rick, it never felt like Rick was in a losing situation, even when they had a tank. You're
never worried really about them. You're like, yeah, they'll work it out.
Exactly, there'll be something they can do. And Daryl, Daryl kills a tank. How do you justify killing someone who takes down a tank with a grenade? Yeah,
I'm a Daryl super fan. Daryl was my favorite, and I was just like, I was saying before the episode, I was saying, please just kill Daryl, because you will never be able to do it really, unless you get a moment like that again. You'll never be able to do it where I will be like, okay, I can accept this. It was what was it? It was this episode before the last one, before the finale, where Dwight shot him in the shoulder or something.
Yeah, I was
just like, what? No, because you can't kill him now. He's already injured. It's like they won't do that. It worked out well in the end because they took him with him. And that kind of made sense. But it's like that took him out of it for me. I was like, there's no way they're going to kill him now.
Yeah, I think Daryl was one of those ones where it's very hard to tell because the fans love him so much. The TV have to kind of balance story and do we risk killing probably our biggest character?
They could have, because I mean they humanized Dwight a bit more in the not this week's, the ones before. So I mean they could have kind of, it's not going to be the same, but they could have sort of made him the new Daryl a little bit. I know he is technically Daryl in the comics, isn't he?
Well, he's not technically Daryl. They're just very similar characters.
Right. The crossbow wielding hillbilly guy.
But Dwight, have you seen this week's?
I haven't seen this week's yet. No.
Okay, I would say even in this one, I'd say he's more like you. I can't say anything about spoiling. I won't talk about that. We'll talk about it next week.
You can spoil it for everyone else, but not for me.
But it's Yeah, no, I agree. It was a very big moment this year. And Walking Dead is my favorite TV show of all time, I think. I'm so in love with that show as a TV series. It's fantastic. And it didn't disappoint. Like, I think I think they had a real hard challenge keeping it secret because I do even think it was leaked. I remember kind of not looking for spoilers, but kind of hearing whispers on the internet of it's going to be Glenn and Abraham.
Well, because people had so much time to have a theory about what was going to happen that, one of them was going to be true. So you've already read probably somewhere what was going to happen. So they should have we've talked about this, what they should have done is killed Abraham, left it, then come back, new season, kill Glenn.
Yes, yeah. If you killed Abraham at the end of season 6, no one would think he's going to kill someone else.
We're done. We're going to forget about it.
Yeah. People would think, okay, the big murder's over. They'd have time to digest and process that. Then if you kill Glenn, just Glenn in the season 7 premiere, everyone would be like, where did that come from? Kind of like it really blindside people. And again, the way they did it made sense. Like Negan had to prove a point because of what Daryl did. Daryl shouldn't have lashed out. Daryl lashed out. He had to prove a point.
He can't hurt. He can't take it out on Daryl because then you go, okay, if I do something, it's just going to hurt me. When it's hurting someone else or someone you love, you're not going to do anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
That keeps you all in line.
And that's the thing. I think Negan's character, because I was reading something which I really disagreed with, where this person was writing a review and they were saying Negan's a great villain, but he's making a classic villain mistake of keeping the hero alive. I disagree with that. I think the reason he's keeping Daryl alive is actually quite smart because he hasn't broken Daryl yet. And if he just kills Daryl because he can't break him, that makes him look weak. Whereas if he keeps Daryl alive until that moment where he breaks him, then he's keeping in line with the whole kind of psychological side of Negan. So it makes perfect sense to me why Negan's kept Daryl alive. I don't think that's a classic villain thing at all. I think Negan's reasoning for keeping Daryl alive is actually quite a good, strong villain reasoning.
It's not the classic thing. I think the classic is normally, as you say, they don't actually have a good reason why they're doing it. It's just, if you literally paid attention, you'd be like, okay, he's only doing it because he's the main character or something. But like you say, I think, from what I haven't seen the latest episode, but from the one before, it is, he's trying to break him. He's an animal he's trying to break. So, at the end, when he's like, what's your name? Whatever, he's Daryl. I was like, yes!
Yeah, I was like, because people were like, oh, is he going to say Negan so he gets closer and then can kill him?
That would make sense, but that's not Daryl.
Exactly, yeah. And there's something okay, I tell you what, I won't tell you what happens, but there's a theory about something that happens this week, and I kind of hope it's not true because there is a very big plot hole with it if it is true, and we'll talk about that later. But there's something that happens in this week's episode, and it's not a big deal. I didn't even notice it in the episode, but people are talking about it, and then when they said it, it triggered something else I remembered in the episode.
It's like a small thing you don't really see.
Yeah,
like the Abraham. Peace
yes,
symbol.
Okay, before we run out, we'll go on to one more big moment. Mine has got to be. Okay, because obviously mine was probably the same as yours, but for me, another really big moment this year would be for Game of Thrones, the Battle of the Bastards. The way it was done, the budget that was put into that, the way that it was filmed, the way that all the cast and crew pulled together to make this battle scene that could be from a movie.
I say it's like a mini feature film.
It looks like it's outside from a feature film, and it's brilliant. The entire scene is amazing, and it was such an impactful episode. And it wasn't even that, it was the way that they thought about something that, I was watching interviews with them, they were saying how they looked at old battles where people would suffocate when they would all just mush together on the battlefield. And they did that so well, like Jon Snow getting trampled and then kind of...
He's drowning in people, that's what it is.
And he's breaking through to the top and really struggling for air. And it's things you don't think about. When you think of historic battles, that's not how you imagine people dying. You imagine getting stabbed and shot with bows and arrows, or when they just got to the gun stage, obviously with guns. You don't think about people being crushed together like that. And
it's just amazing, they're actually going to the... Like you say, they did their research. They made it realistic, I guess, where you'd see what you don't normally see. Which, was absolutely brilliant. Well, not brilliant, it's sick and horrible, but it was great.
It was a fantastic piece of TV. And, the only bit, which was a bit... I would have changed is the way Rickon... I get why they did it, the way Rickon runs, where he just runs in a straight line and everyone's screaming...
Serpentine!
Zigzag, just get out of the way. And... I get why they did it, because obviously he had to kill Rickon. Yeah. But the just running in a straight line part, kind of, I reckon that infuriated a lot of fans.
Stupid. You would run backwards at the very least, just to see it and be like, okay, maybe Ramsay.
I don't think you'd run backwards.
I say he might then go, okay, I'm going to actually shoot directly at you, but
But apart from that, the whole episode, because even before that, you still get a mini battle with Daenerys and her dragons and the slavers.
Yes.
And that was fantastic. But the Game of Thrones do this brilliantly. They did it with the Mountain versus the Viper. The entire episode was other small stories, which are interesting stories, but they know that the audience is waiting for this big battle.
You know what you're here for.
And you're kind of like, this is great, but I really want to get to this fight now. And again, it didn't disappoint. Like, you wait the whole episode for it, and it lives up to your expectations
When you
so
name
well.
the episode Mountain versus Viper or Battle of the Bastards, you can't really not do it. You know, that's what it. You've come here to this episode for that.
Yeah.
So they're gonna put their all into it.
Do you feel it was justified as well? The way, like, I love the bit at the end where Ramsay changes his mind. He's like, "Oh, you said we should have a one-on-one." I think that's a brilliant
I think
idea.
we should do that now.
And he starts shooting at him with the bow, and Jon Snow's got the shield. I love that bit where he takes the shield and he kind of lowers it to look at him again and sees him about to fire, raises the shield, and it's just incredible the whole time. You're kind of really cheering, like, "Go on, Jon, kick his ass," kind of thing. It's fantastic.
Again, it's, you know, you see how bad Ramsay is. It's like, you know, you should have done that. Lift the bow, get ready to release, and before you do, Jon Snow lifts the shield, you drop it to his leg and hit him in the leg. It's like, you know. But that would ruin it. That would ruin it. So it's not.
Would you say they give him an arrow to the knee?
I think it'd give him more than just an arrow to the knee.
And then the way that Sansa was done as well. Sansa's character is fantastic. I really enjoy watching Sansa's stuff. And
at the end where she's like, I want to be king of the north.
I'm curious. No, see, I really like that because it's not very clear where it's going with her, and I think that's really interesting. Is she gonna? Because she's becoming quite. She's playing the game now. She is playing the Game of Thrones.
She's playing the Game of Thrones, yeah, literally.
And that's fascinating because she's probably the youngest person involved in it, and she has her own agenda, which we don't know. And originally we thought it was supporting Jon Snow. Now we're like, oh wait, actually, is it with Littlefinger? But she knows what Littlefinger's like, so I don't think it is. And she's playing the game very well, and brilliantly played, like fantastic actress.
And she's got better and better. Yeah.
Same with Maisie Williams. They're both brilliant.
Oh, she's fantastic. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, everyone on Game. I don't think I've seen a bad actor on Game of Thrones. Everyone, like, what's his name? Who plays Joffrey? Played Joffrey.
I don't know his name, but he's perfect because we hate him.
Exactly, he does his job.
Why he's so good. Yeah,
you hate the character, so
did
he's
the
done
job.
what he needs to. Same with Ramsay. Like, you hate Ramsay, and it's same with Negan. Like, actually, well, I don't know if I hate Negan.
Negan. Oh, I love Negan because he's
very charismatic.
Yeah, but I mean, he's the dad from Supernatural, so I love him as well.
Oh, all
for
those
that.
memes are really funny.
But yes, they're brilliant.
Go on, Dad.
Oh, dear. Another one where Dean's like, I found this baseball bat in my boot. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna need that back.
I've been looking for that.
But yeah, like he's just. It's like saying they're playing the characters perfectly because he knows he's done his research. He knows the character. He does it. He pulls it off, sort of thing. Same with people like Ramsay. Because I knew that actor from Misfits. That's where I knew him from. Where he's much more.
That's really bugging me. I can't remember his name.
Who in the show?
Yeah,
Simon.
No. The actor, sorry, who plays him.
Oh, I can't remember his name actually. But yeah, he's much more sort of. I think the character's quite shy into himself. So when I suddenly saw him in Game of Thrones, I was like, okay, what's this going to be like? He's completely different. I was like,
Sign of a great actor.
wow,
yeah.
you've just completely changed a new person. It's brilliant.
So I think it's safe to say we
Great.
can agree those, in our opinion anyway, those are the two biggest moments on TV so
2016,
far this
definitely.
year. Yeah. And right, that's it, guys. We're going to end the episode here. Please leave some comments on what your big moments in TV are, or film and games as well. We'd love to hear what you guys have found significant this year about any of those topics. And if you have any questions for us, please leave them in the comment section below. And if you like this video, give us a subscribe and a like. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. And we'll have Rick next time. He's back.
Yes. Well, we say that.
Well, he better be.
Hopefully Rick will be back next time.
You got a baseball bat. Get some barbed wire.
Yeah,
Go
get
after
some
him.
barbed
Yeah.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, bitch.
But there's only one person standing in front of him pointing it. Anyway, guys, yeah, we'll see you next time. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.
Thanks for listening.